Hey, Sadie and I are here to talk a little bit about biting and puppy biting training myths that I see coming up a lot in the community and all over the internet, really. So there's a few main things that I see come up a lot that are actually not helping you out at all. They're actually making it way harder for your puppy to learn not to bite. Hey, Sadie. So the first one is I see people talking about pressing their thumb on the roof of their puppy's mouth. So we want to make sure that we don't do that because our puppy's mouth is not fully developed yet. I even saw someone talking about sticking their finger down their throat, and that we're going to talk about scare tactics in a second, but that is not only scary but very dangerous. Their throats are very small and very delicate, so we don't want to do anything where we put our hands inside their mouth at all because it can just damage them and is just absolutely not worth the risk. Okay, number two is scare tactics. So this is like a jar with coins in it. It's a spray bottle, something that startles your puppy into not biting in the moment. So there's a couple things wrong with these different techniques. So the first one is they are getting a scare. So when they get scared, their body actually releases cortisol. And cortisol is a stress hormone. So when they have that release of cortisol, their brain flips from being present with you to fight or flight, and they are no longer listening. They are not learning. And when you do this over and over again, and you keep putting them in fight or flight mode, they actually can get stuck there. Just like we can, you've heard of people being stuck in fight or flight mode. We're all trying to calm our nervous system. Well, the same thing happens with our dog, and it makes them really hard to train and hyper and anxious and have separation anxiety and a bunch of other things. So we don't want to go there. We don't want to do something that just startles our dog out of biting in the moment. Okay, number three is timeouts. So timeouts help us because our puppy isn't biting us anymore for the moment, right? So you get a few minutes off, but we haven't taught them anything. And here's the thing with all three of these groups of techniques is that you're missing a huge opportunity. So what you want to do when your puppy is biting is actually teach them what you want them to do instead. If you miss that opportunity when they become about 6 months old, it gets really, really hard to teach this. So the first thing we need to teach them is bite inhibition, and that's how hard they're allowed to close their jaw. So how hard they can do it when they're touching us as opposed to chomping on a toy. And this has to be taught before 6 months because that's why people end up with dogs that bite when they're adults, because they miss this window where their puppy is bitey and they miss the window to actually do the training, and they end up with a biting dog when they grow up, which is such a heartbreak. It kills me when people come to me and say that their dog is biting because it's so avoidable if you just jump in and do the training now. Okay, so once you teach the bite inhibition, then you can go to the bite training where you replace and let them know, like, no, you chew on the toy, not on my shirt, that kind of thing. And that works really well. But if we don't get that bite inhibition in there, we've missed a huge step of our bite training. So in order to do this, you just need to know the timing. You just need to see it a couple times. You will learn the timing like this, and you will be able to do it. I have this little mini course that if you guys want it, I make it so cheap for people in this community. It's only $19. And that is because I know that every single person should be doing this bite training with their puppy. So we just make it really cheap so everybody can grab it. You can have your puppy stop biting by tomorrow. You see in the video, I trained this little adorable puppy, Finn, who was biting and biting and biting. And within about 15 minutes, when I told him not to bite, he would just sit there and stare at me and be like, okay, what next? Because he totally got it that fast, even though he was a really, really bitey puppy. So if you want to grab it, great. I think it's so worth it to take the time. It will save you so much agony and anguish later, and it will stop the biting, which is the most important part in the moment, right? But the big thing is that I just wanted you to know that those bite techniques that we talked about are not good for your puppy. They are not going to get you what you want. They are going to make your puppy hand shy. You know those dogs that you reach out to them, even though they have wonderful owners, and they kind of wince a little bit, and you're like, whoa, what the heck was that? That's because of things like people pressing on the roof of a dog's mouth when they're biting, because that when a hand is reaching out to them, they're like, whoa. what just happened, right? That was scary, and I don't want that to happen again. So we want to avoid making our dogs hand shy, keeping our dogs from bonding with us, making them go into fight or flight where they're feeling stress and cortisol, and they might get in a situation where they're a stressed dog. And then you have an anxious, stressed dog, and that's a hard thing to unravel. And we want to avoid them being frightened. We want to take the opportunity and teach them what we want them to do, which is control their bite strength and not bite humans at all, ever. All right, guys, I hope that's clear. Let me know if you have questions. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. Happy to chat about it. And I'll just drop the link to that little mini course if you want to grab it, if you want to do your bite training. All right, guys, hope everything's great with you, and I will talk to you soon.